Welcome back, everybody, to the Inside Texas Basketball Show. I'm your host, Evan Veith, as always, joined by Keenan Womack. Before we get into things, make sure you're going over to InsideTexas.com. Keenan just dropped an article today about some basketball stuff that we're not even going to cover today. But, of course, right now you can join for $1 in your first week and get a full year of access to The Athletic. It's a fantastic offer for all things Texas Longhorn sports, from football to baseball to basketball. Keenan, we're back here to talk basketball and some odd backgrounds we've got going on here. You're seeing my childhood bedroom. I'm back in DC for some dental work, and you got a blurry background. But we have something more clear than blurred here in Austin, as we're hearing a lot more about some official visits from real key players in this 2026 and even going forward 2027 cycle for the Longhorn team. We got a chance to talk to Sean Miller recently. Didn't hear a lot apart from him just talking a bit about how he recruits, what the pitch is, and this pitch for this first guy we're going to talk about, which is the Ogden boy, is pretty easy when your dad is the general manager. Isn't that right, Keenan?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, and to speak on him extremely like Bo Ogden, if his dad wasn't the GM, he would still be really highly recruited.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
This kid is an elite shooting talent. I believe I can't remember if it was 3SSB. It was a tournament in like March of this year. He went absolutely nuts and shot a crazy percentage. He shot like 45% from three or 50%, just like absolutely cooked everybody from three. I don't think he missed a free throw for the entire tournament. Yeah. Just an elite shooting prospect, a guy that could really impact any team he lands on. I think he's an NBA player. He's got the size. He's like 6'6", wing kind of shooting guard type of player. Just really, really talented guy, and a guy that Texas is really, really hot on the trail of, a guy that they're really hard after, and a guy that's taken a few official visits. He's visited Purdue, he's visited Tennessee, and he's visiting Texas this weekend on an OV. So big news for Miller's program, and a guy they really, really want to get on campus.
Yes, a consensus top 5 guy in Texas for all of the industry rankings, whether you go to Rivals or anywhere else. And so that's always going to be something that Texas is going to prioritize. You need to be able to recruit in state. And of course, it means more when your father, Chris Ogden, is in the building as a general manager for Texas. But that doesn't mean it's written in for him. And we've talked about Purdue with Ogden for as long as we've had the show going. We've talked about Tennessee as well. I think that's where he was last week. Coming to Texas this weekend, and what is the kind of pitch for a coach like Sean Miller, for someone who's so local, Austin Westlake kid, already knows dad in the program? What is there to pitch to him to take him away from a school like Virginia or Purdue or Tennessee, who's such a great school for basketball?
I think the pitch is this offense is going to get him open looks consistently, right? You look at the way that this offense works, the off-ball motion, we've talked about it before, the off-ball cuts, the off-ball screening, just the motion in general off the ball that creates looks for shooters. That's got to be the pitch, because he's a guy that kind of can create his own shot too, but he's a dynamic catch and shoot guy, like absolutely elite. He can still put the ball on the deck and attack the basket, which is also a huge part of it, right? If you're getting these open looks from three and you can attack closeouts, that's how you become a multifaceted offensive player and a scorer. He's a guy that can pass a little bit too. Just really smart player, right? Like makes good reads. He turns it over sometimes, but overall, really, really just proficient offensive player with good size. So I think the pitch is, look, they can get him to the NBA. Yeah. Right. That's his eventual goal. And I think it's an achievable goal. I think he's the type of player that could play in the NBA. I don't think he'll be a one and done type of guy, but I think he's a guy that can play 2 years of college basketball and make it to the NBA because of his shooting ability and because of his size. And if he can up the defensive ability, right? He's not a bad defender either, but I mean, you look at potential 3-and-D guys, every single NBA team needs a 3-and-D guy. Every single team has one. And you're watching it now in the NBA. Some of these 3-and-D guys are becoming stars. Like, look at Trey Murphy for the Pelicans, for example, right? He's a 3-and-D guy that's become an absolute alpha for that team. So I think the pitch is you're going to shoot a really high percentage because we're going to get you the ball a lot. We're going to get you the ball in open scenarios. So I think that has to be in the cards for what they're talking about, is like, look, you want to put up crazy numbers. This is the offense to do it in.
Yeah, and it's getting harder to just be a one and done with how many great players are staying already, and then the international game becoming so popular. Talk about another guy who's in state Texas, but also Duke is right there in that And we know that Austin Gooseby is someone that has another Texas connection with the brother playing left tackle, but has also just been in contact with Sean Miller a lot. And you have the latest on what's going on with Miller and Gooseby this week.
Are you ready to love your kitchen and bathroom again? Luxe Kitchen and Bath will bring that to life. Luxe has been offering high-end kitchen and bathroom remodels for 3 generations throughout the greater Austin area. With 5-star review after 5-star review on Google and Facebook and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, you can put your faith in Luxe Kitchen and Bath's award-winning designers and skilled craftspeople to bring your dream vision to life. But that's not all. Luxe's all-star team also provides full home remodels, large additions, and even commercial build-outs as well. So call Luxe Kitchen and Bath at 833-358-LUXE today, or visit luxekitchenbath.com to discover where quality meets luxury and begin the process of transforming your home. Get your free quote today by calling 833-358-LUXE. That's LUXE, or by visiting luxekitchenbath.com. Contact info is in the description.
Yeah, Sean Miller visited Gooseby this morning, and Melissa went out there. So that was an early morning deal. But yeah, they're really, really hot on this recruitment. Now, Duke and Miami are the big players here. So another battle with Duke, right? Always hot competition when Duke's in the picture. And you look at Duke, and it's not just Duke as in like they're the, most people, when they think of college basketball, kind of think about Duke. Mm-hmm. It's the fact that they get dudes drafted like crazy. They had 3 dudes go in the top 10 last year, right? You have Cooper Flagg go 1, you have Con Kneppel go 4, and you have Kaman Malawach go 10. And then you get 2 other guys drafted as well. And this year they're going to get even more guys drafted. They have a guy that's inarguably a top 3 pick in my mind in Cam Boozer. They have a guy, Dame Sarr, who I think is probably going to be a lottery pick. They have Patton Gongba, who's a sophomore. I think he could be a lottery pick, depending on how his season goes. The only reason he wasn't a starter last year is because Malawach was on the floor. So Duke is always a battle. And then Jay Lucas at Miami is just an incredible recruiter, right? Former Texas Longhorn guard, son of John Lucas. He was at Kentucky with Calipari. He was at Duke with Shire. And now he's at Miami leading his own program and doing an absolutely killer job on these visits. Like, he's doing an absolutely great job. People are really, really into his program. He's pitching a big message to them. And, I mean, they got Shelton Henderson to flip last year, and Shelton Henderson was a guy that was highly recruited out of the Houston, I think he played at Bel Air, Houston area kid. So, obviously, tough recruiting battle, but Texas is still in it for Gooseby, I believe, and it should be an interesting finish.
And that's honestly all you can ask for with what's going on with Gooseby, because we've been reporting for a while that, hey, like, don't get your hopes up when Duke is knocking on the door for this kind of player. And even if there's a school like Miami, who we talked about before as one that's probably still around for this, you need to make sure that you are at least doing your due process and getting there as close as possible. I think back to like playing at CFB 26 series, and you're the underdog school and you're going against Georgia. You still got to commit to that, especially when you have, I mean, there's so many things that do go Texas's way with Gooseby that just go past. First of all, his family already loves the team, but it's a closer school for him than Duke would be. It is a school that's given players into the NBA and gotten them there, can build around him. They've already seen him do it with a worse offensive coach with Trey Johnson. So there's plenty of upside for Texas in this recruitment, but getting past Duke is going to be tough. Let's talk about Maximo Adams, Keenan, because that's someone that is also a priority for Texas, and they're trying to get him in. I believe he's the one from Sierra Canyon. Is that right?
Yeah. So Maximo Adams, real fun player, man. Super versatile offensive wing, right? He's a guy that can shoot. He's not an amazing 3-point shooter yet, but he's a very proficient mid-range jump shooter. Great handle. Great. I talked to a scout about him about 2 weeks ago, just kind of in preparation. They said his footwork is excellent. So both ends, right? And he's 6'7", 205. So he's not this like real wire. He's a little more built than some of your prototypical high school wings that are 6'7". So 205 with that. He's a guy that can defend multiple positions. He's fairly quick-footed. Just a lot of fun to watch this guy play. And, he's a guy from Sierra Canyon, which is where famously Bronny James played his high school basketball. He's another guy that Duke is in the picture. Kansas is in the picture. North Carolina is in the picture. This is a guy that kind of broke out this summer and last spring. He wasn't a guy that was on as many radars before, like 3SSB play and things like that, kind of like busted him onto the scene. So Adams is a really talented wing and a guy that I think he's a 2-year guy personally before he would go to the NBA. I don't think he's a one and done type of guy. But as we've said before, man, that is super important to get those guys that stay a couple of years, can be kind of part of your rotation for a couple of years, can learn the system. And the way Sean Miller operates, man, you know, those 4 out, 1 in type of offenses, sometimes 5 out, like those are what NBA teams run. So it's a good prep for an NBA team if he wants to go to Texas. And I think that has to be the pitch with all these guys is, look, we want to get you to the pros, and this is how we're going to do it.
Yeah, and one of the ones I needed to double check that I was correct is that Jamie Shaw wrote an article for On3 pretty recently that talked about some of the best just uncommitted shooters in this class right now, and 2 of the 5 were Ogden and Adams. So it's clear that Miller is looking for these wings that can really light it up from outside the arc and also just create their own shots, which is a pretty important skill set. Let's talk about one more player, kind of an interesting one here, I guess would be the way to talk about it, is Lucas Murillo, who is Dominican native, but still a pretty high-level basketball recruit who has listed Texas as one of his top 6 teams.
Yeah, Lucas Murillo is so he's a guy from the Newman School. Texas was recruiting another kid out of the Newman School named Quinn Costello, who recently committed to Michigan, big power forward. I think he's like 6'9", 6'10" type of guy. Murillo is a shooting guard with really good size, right? He's 6'6", 180. He's kind of a wing shooting guard combo type of player. Another guy that Texas really wants, right? And this is a more recently established visit, right? Because last week there were a couple of guys that dipped out, right? Like they didn't have Jervis on campus. So they're really going after these kind of shooting guard types in addition to these lead initiator types like Duron Rippey, who was on campus last weekend. They want these big wings, right? I mean, you look at a Dalen Swain. Now he's more of a forward than a shooting guard type of wing. You know, there's kind of 2 types of wings. They either lean more towards the guard side or more towards the forward side, either combo forward or just kind of a perimeter guy. And Murillo is definitely more of a perimeter guy versus a Swain, who's more of an interior, could play some interior as well. So, yeah, Murillo, again, from the Newman School in the Boston, Massachusetts area. He'll be on campus November 3rd. So that'll be October 3rd. Sorry, wait, let me check that. Sorry to throw a wrench in everything, but okay, October 3rd, my bad. So October 3rd, he'll be on campus. Sorry about the pump fake there. Just another guy that they want. He's a top 70 guy in the country, top 60 guy in the country. Mm-hmm. Somebody that Texas wants to add to their roster because he has that size at the shooting guard position. That's just something you always need, especially considering the point guards he's going after. A lot of them are smaller. They're not quite these jumbo creators that we're seeing a lot of in the NBA, for example. But Sean Miller's going after these slippery, small, explosive types of guards like Rippey and, Tay Kenny, who is not considering Texas anymore. But, it makes sense when you go for size at the shooting guard position when you're not going for size at the point guard position.
Yeah, and you just talked about so many of the great talents that are coming into this Longhorn team, whether it be from last week, this week. It seems like Texas is really getting busy when it comes to recruiting right now as they're starting to transition back into that multiple practices a week, getting ramped up for the season. With that being said, there's a lot being ramped up on Inside Texas as football approaches SEC play. Bye week right now, and then you got Florida and Oklahoma right after. You also got all the basketball coverage from Keenan, Joe, and I, and baseball. It's the best place to be for all of your Texas football, baseball, basketball, everything Longhorns needs right now. Right now, you can go talk about the John Mateer injury for those who are still cared who watch football with us. But thank you all so much for watching. We've been Evan and Keenan on the Inside Texas Basketball Show. We'll see y'all next week.